Hello guys, in this Shiftaholics episode, it's all about wide fenders. We're going to pick things up from the last episode and continue working on our wide body front fender modifications. Now, since we already did most of the fabrication on the passenger side, we're going to concentrate mainly on the driver's side. And once all of that metal fabrication is done, we're going to move on to the bodywork stage. And as promised in the last episode, we will reveal the next mod that we're going to be doing to this car in this episode. So keep watching. Since we already fabricated all of the components needed to make both wide body fenders in the last episode, all we have to do to our driver's side fender is basically put things together and tack things up. And it's time to begin welding. So it's another beautiful day, and we're continuing to work on our driver's side fender. Before resuming work on our wide body fender here, there's something I want to mention. Now, since we already worked on the fender on the passenger side, I did my best to document that process in greater detail in the previous episode. So I feel that there's no need to be repetitive. So if you want to see the build process for this fender, for this type of wide body fender in greater detail, please check out the previous episode. Now let's get to it. Just a little note, I'm leaving these sections wide because we're going to trim them once we remove the fenders to do our final welding and finish work. So it's finally time to remove our fenders and begin finish work. So now that we have both of our fenders removed, what we're going to do is we're going to finish up some of the welding, some of the places that we didn't weld while it was on the car. I'm dirty, I'm hot, but we're making progress. The driver's side fender is completely finished as far as metal fabrication. The thing that's pending for that fender is the actual bodywork, but since we're going to bodywork these two fenders together, that's going to be on hold for now. What we're going to concentrate on is doing the same thing that we did for the left-hand fender on this passenger side fender, basically trimming and finishing up our welds and, you know, just making it look decent and getting it ready for bodywork. So let's get to it. So we're done with the metal fabrication portion of our wide body front fenders. Now the thing we need to do before we move on to bodywork is to seal everywhere that we welded to protect it from moisture. So we need to do that before moving on to bodywork. So I'm afraid I did it again. So as I have done previously, I'm afraid I underestimated the amount of time it takes to fabricate something like this. We had to cut, we had to weld, we had to grind, we had to measure, we had to remeasure, not necessarily in that order, but basically we got the fenders where we need them. They're ready for bodywork. However, there's simply not enough time in this episode for us to get into that stuff. There is, however, time for something else. It's time to reveal the next mod that we're going to be doing to this thing. Now you would assume in the spirit of natural progression, our next little mod for this car would be to modify the rear quarter panels just like we have done to the wide body front fenders. And although that is definitely in our plans, we're still not done with the front end. So in the next episode, we're going to be tackling, we're going to be doing body work on our fenders, as well as tackling some additional modifications that I want to make to the front end. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. And stay tuned for a lot more cool mods and craziness.